Hello and welcome to the Essex Boys Murder Case Part 50. Before watching this video, I recommend watching Part 4 on ones on YouTube first, as these videos are all about the key individuals and the murder victims movements on the day of the 6th of December 1995. A quick mention to the Facebook page called The Real Essex Boys Murder Club. If you're interested, please feel free to join, as there's some great people on there with a lot of knowledge on this subject. So, welcome to part 2 of the Steve Nipper Ellis revelations. In this video, I'm going to look at the possibility of Nipper Ellis attending his local police station in Swanage, Dorset, that morning, then making the car journey to Rettendon and doing a recce of where the chosen murder location would take place. Then get back to Swanage and pick up his girlfriend from the railway station on the 4th of December, which is 2 days before the murders. I'm also going to go through a statement from a David Rayner and what he said he saw on the night of the murders. Now, before I start part 2, I will give you a quick catch up from part 1 of the Steve Nipper Ellis revelations. Now, in part 1, I covered the statement from Alan Grayson and what he said he saw on the 4th of December 1995, which was a suspicious male in the field next to the White House Farm track, and the possibility of it being Steve Nipper Ellis. So, on with this video. And back then, we know Nipper was living in Swanage, Dorset, with his then girlfriend, Leanne Marie Hemingway. Now, at the time, he was on bail for a garage robbery, so part of his bail conditions was to sign his name at Swanage Police Station every morning at 10:30 AM. He would have all day to himself after doing this until up to about 4:30 PM-ish, when he goes to pick his girlfriend up at Wareham railway station on her way home from college. So let's have a look to see if it's possible for Nipper Ellis to make a trip from Swanage to Rettendon after leaving the police station in the morning to do a recce of the pre-chosen murder location for his dad, then drive back to Swanage to meet his girlfriend at the railway station on the 4th of December 1995, 2 days before the executions. Now, the area down here to the left where the red marker is, now this is where Nipper Ellis was residing at the time in Swanage, Dorset, with his girlfriend at the time, Leanne Marie Hemingway. Now, the area up here where the grey marker is, what I'm circling now, this is Rettendon and the White House Farm track. Now, the police station wasn't far from where Nipper Ellis lived, and he had to be there at 10:30 AM every morning. Now, this blue line here is the route he could have taken to make that journey. Now, he could have set off and gone along the M27 through Southampton, then up along the M3 along here until he reached London. Then he could have gone along the M25 here through Dartford, then heading off up here towards Basildon, which is this bit that I'm circling now, and then on to Rettendon. Or when he gets to this part of the M3 here, and he reaches this point, he could have chosen this route here along the grey lines. Now, if he did choose this journey, he could have gone along here, along the M25, along here, going along the A12, where he drives through Ingatstone, and then eventually he could have got to the A130, which is just here, and driven downwards towards the White House Farm track. Now, time-wise, for either journey, they're roughly the same, give or take a few minutes. So, time-wise, he sets off from Swanage Police Station at 10:30 AM or thereabouts. Then he heads for Rettendon. Now, he arrives there at approximately 1:50 PM. He does a recce of the area, walking in the field next to the track, and heads up the field until he reaches Rettendon Hall. He uses binoculars to look down at the track and notices two gates, one being the 5-bar gate, and thinks if this gate could be shut prior to the Range Rover coming down the track, it would be excellent for an ambush. His dad and an accomplice could lay in wait in the nearby trees and bushes, and when the Range Rover comes to a halt, the executions could begin. So that recce, say, took what, 15-20 minutes? That leaves him at 2:10 in the afternoon. He then sets off back to Swanage to pick up his girlfriend at Wareham train station, to which he would arrive there at approximately 5:30 PM. Now, I've gone by these journey times on the map here, but in reality, he could have made these journeys a lot quicker, knowing he's got a BMW that can shift on a long stretch of road. So yes, he could have made this journey on the 4th of December, which was 2 days before the murders, and done a recce for his dad, and got back in time to pick up his girlfriend from the train station. I mean, I don't know if his girlfriend at the time was actually at college that day. I'm just going off what she said in her statement about her and Nipper's whereabouts on the 6th of December, the day of the murders, and picking her up from the train station every day, as it may have been a daily routine for them. Now, the 4th of December 1995 was actually a Monday, and the 6th being a Wednesday. Now, she could have gone to college throughout the week. I'll quickly read her statement about the 6th of December, the night of the murders. So this statement was made on the 13th of December 1995. I am the girlfriend of Steve John Ellis, and I live with him in Swanage, Dorset. I am a full-time student studying for a diploma in agriculture at Kingston Morwood College. I have been asked by a Detective Sergeant Wills whether I can recall my movements on Stephen on the evening of Wednesday, the 6th of December 1995. I can remember that he picked me up from Wareham railway station at 5:20 PM or thereabouts. He was alone in his white BMW car. I cannot remember the exact time, but we came home together. So that's Steve Nipper Ellis's alibi for the night of the murders, and like explained in part 15 of these Day of the Murder videos, he would not have had enough time to get from Swanage to Rettendon that night. He would have arrived there at 9:30 PM. Did Nipper Ellis know the murders were going to take place that night by his dad and an accomplice, and needed an alibi so his girlfriend would be the perfect alibi for him, and they would stay together all night in Swanage. Now this is a picture of Ricky Percival, and in the questions and answers interview on YouTube that Nipper did, he mentions a guy called Damon Alvin. Now if you don't know who Damon Alvin is, he was the next generation of Essex boys to take over from Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. Now Damon Alvin eventually went into witness protection after giving evidence against a long-time friend of his, Ricky Percival, who is serving a 20 years prison sentence for murder. It's a high-profile case which I think needs to be looked at again. I mean, if I had the time, I would do videos on that case and go through all the facts, looking for the truth. But at the moment, these videos are taking up a lot of time, but I would absolutely love to do videos on the Ricky Percival case and basically look for the truth. Now, Ricky Percival was sentenced for the murder of Dean Beauchelle, who is here, and he was also part of the inner circle of the new Essex boys. And Damon Alvin went round to a family house of the Trettons with Dean Beauchelle. It's not clear if Alvin entered the property alone and Beauchelle was the getaway driver, or they both went into the Trettons' house. Now a shotgun was used to fire at people in the house, with them losing fingers and other body parts. Now this was a revenge attack after one of the Trettons' family stabbed a friend of Damon Alvin's, who was Malcolm Walsh. Now Malcolm died of his injuries. Damon Alvin had heard Dean Beauchelle was a police informant and thought he was going to tell them about the shootings at the Trettons and his other criminal activities. Damon Alvin lured Dean Beauchelle to some allotments and shot him twice in the head. Alvin turned supergrass and said his friend Ricky Percival had shot Beauchelle. The reason I've mentioned Damon Alvin is because he's relevant to the next part of this video. In that questions and answers interview Nipper Ellis did on YouTube, he says a friend of his dad's, who he doesn't want to name, was getting information from Damon Alvin about an upcoming shipment of cocaine which would be dropped from a light aircraft into a field in Rettendon. Damon Alvin had the contacts, as it had been done before at West Hanningfield Farm not so long ago. Now, West Hanningfield Farm is not far from White House Farm. A shipment of cannabis had been dropped into a pond at West Hanningfield Farm, and the farmer found the cannabis and he handed it in to the police. Now, apparently Damon Alvin was putting a deal together with Tony Tucker and Pat Tate for a drop to be done in a field in Rettendon, and he would go along with the Essex boys that night to show them which field the drop will be landing in the near future. The friend of Nipper Ellis's dad that he doesn't want to name was getting the time and day off Damon Alvin as to when they will be heading up to Rettendon to show the Essex boys which field the drugs will be dropped in. The plan was Nipper Ellis's dad and his accomplice would get there first and hide close by. When the Range Rover came down the track, it would have to come to a halt due to them making sure the gate was shut prior to the Range Rover turning up. When one of them gets out to open the gate, Nipper's dad would run over and begin the executions. In that interview, Nipper Ellis says it was Damon Alvin that got out of the Range Rover to open the 5-bar gate. As he did this, Nipper Ellis' dad apparently ran over and began the executions. In that video, Nipper says his dad told him that when the shooting started, Damon Alvin noticed it was Sid Ellis that was committing murders, but knew nothing about why he and his accomplice were there. Was Nipper Ellis the one getting information from Damon Alvin and passing it on to his dad, so he and his dad's accomplice could get the time and date the Essex boys would be down the track so they could ambush them and start the executions? I mean, Nipper Ellis and Malcolm Walsh had been good friends and had done criminal activities in the past. Malcolm Walsh was the one who had criminal contacts in Canning Town and knew a crime firm there. I mean, he was the one who was putting the deal together between the Essex boys and the Canning Town firm for those stolen travellers' checks. I mean, I've covered this meeting between the Essex boys and a guy from the Canning Town firm in a previous video. Nipper Ellis and Malcolm Walsh were there, and Malcolm Walsh was going to be the go-between for that deal. Unbeknown to Nipper Ellis and Malcolm Walsh, Tony Tucker had already decided to rob the Canning Town guy of his stolen travellers' checks. Now, Carlton Leach betook the guy in this car park where the meeting would take place, and then Tony Tucker joined in and took the stolen travellers' checks. Now, Nipper Ellis and Malcolm Walsh weren't happy the way the Essex boys robbed the Canning Town firm. And they knew there would be repercussions for the Essex boys' actions. The link between Damon Alvin and Malcolm Walsh is they were also good friends. Malcolm Walsh was having problems with a family called the Trettons, and when his car was smashed, he found out it was the Trettons and went round to confront them at their house. A fight ensued, and Malcolm Walsh was stabbed by the Trettons' father, and he died of his injuries. Now, Damon Alvin was hell-bent on getting revenge for his friend Malcolm Walsh, so he planned a revenge attack on the Trettons. He and Dean Boshell got into the house of the Trettons and fired at people inside, causing mayhem. Damon Alvin and Nipper Ellis more than likely knew each other, and it's very possible Nipper Ellis was the one getting the information from Damon Alvin about the supposed drugs drop in Rettendon, and not a friend of his dad's he does not want to mention in that video. I mean, was it Nipper Ellis that was getting the information from Damon Alvin about the intended meet and about an upcoming drugs drop in Rettendon? If you believe Steve Nipper Ellis' version of events, then it's a strong possibility. Was Nipper Ellis phoning Damon Alvin on a daily basis trying to get information to pass on to his dad, so his dad and an accomplice could get there first and create an ambush, then execute the Essex boys? Did Sid Ellis and an accomplice find out the time and place the meet would take place and get to Rettendon that evening, park up somewhere nearby until it got close to the time of the meeting? They then drove close to the track and parked up somewhere. They went down the track on foot and made sure the gate was shut, and then hid in the bushes close to the gate. They then waited for the Range Rover to come down the track and wait for it to stop in front of the gate. This would create an ambush they wanted so they could begin the executions. I'm now going to go through a statement from a David Rayner and what he said he saw on the 6th of December 1995 in the Reconstructing area that evening. Now, instead of reading out his statement, I'm going to reenact what he said he saw that evening. At 6:15 p.m, David Rayner came off the A12 and used this slip road here. He then says he took the first left at the roundabout. Now this road here is the A130, and as he drove along this road heading towards Reconstructing, he notices a road on the left, which is this road here. Just get a closer look for you. He noticed a cherry red Ford Escort, possibly an E-registration vehicle, facing towards the A130, which would be this spot here. Now he saw two male occupants sat in the vehicle. Now this road is approximately 3 to 4 miles from White House Farm. Now he said it looked suspicious as the vehicle was very clean, unlike the majority of the vehicles on the road at the time, which were dirty due to the weather conditions. Now he also noticed that the vehicle had colour-coded mirrors. So who were these two suspicious males sat in a cherry red Ford Escort vehicle? And what were they doing in the area of Reconstructing prior to the murders? Was it Sid Ellis and an accomplice waiting up the road from the White House Farm track? And when it gets closer to the time the Essex boys are going to turn up with Damon Alvin in the Range Rover, they themselves are going to drive up, park close by and make their way down the farm track. Make sure the gate is shut and then hide in the bushes to the right, and when the Range Rover comes to a halt, they will begin the executions of Tucker, Tate and Rolfe. What vehicle did Sid Ellis own back then? Was it a cherry red Ford Escort? Was it Sid Ellis and an accomplice waiting here on the evening of the murders, spotted by David Rayner? I'll tell you what we'll do while we're here. We'll just go down this road. It's a dead end anyway. I cannot believe I've actually got to part 50 in these Essex boys murder videos. I mean, when I looked at the key individuals I wanted to use in the case, I mean, I thought it'd be over and done with these videos in about 10 or 12, but I mean, it's took me up to, what, I'm at part 50 now, and I'm at the track. It's 7:05 p.m, so I've still got to follow Mick, Jack and Dan and Mick Nichols away from the track, and then I've got to start on Billy Jasper. So yeah, there's going to be a few more videos to come. So here we are. This is the dead end. This is the slip road that David Rayner came off that evening at 6:15 p.m. And just here to the left is the roundabout, and he took the first left, which would have been along this here, which is hidden by the trees. And as you can see, there's not much here. I'll just show you. Here we go. Spin round. I mean, that vehicle that night, he could have driven down this road, turned around here in this part, and then driven back up and parked up on the left hand side opposite the A130. So what we'll do now, we'll just head back up this road. So, whoever it was sat in the cherry red Ford Escort that evening, they would have driven down this road at some point, turned around at the bottom, driven back up, and then parked just here on the left. Was this road chosen when a recce was done, maybe? And when it got close to the time the Range Rover would be turning up, and they could have turned left here, gone along the A130 up here. Like I say, it's about 3 to 4 miles to White House Farm, and then it's a couple of 100 yards further down that road, the farm track. They may have not wanted to look suspicious, just parked up close to the track. And then, when it got close to the time, they decided just, let's go up there, let's park up somewhere close by, let's get down the track. And let's lay in wait for the Range Rover to turn up. So, I'll tell you what I'll do now is I'll quickly show you just a Google Earth clip of the roundabout, the A12, etc. And then I'll quickly show you a picture of a cherry red Ford Escort. So this is the Google Earth view of the area I'm talking about, and this bit here is the A12, and this is the slip road that David Rayner said he used on the evening of the murders. And he said he came off and he took the first left at the roundabout, which would be here, and he noticed the road to the left, which is just here. And this is where he said he saw 2 suspicious males in a red cherry Ford Escort. And as you can see, this is the A130, and if you carry on here about 3 or 4 miles, it takes you to the Rettendon farm track. I know I explained earlier there's 2 ways Nipper Ellis, if he did do a recce on the 4th of December, there were 2 ways he could have got to Rettendon after leaving Swanage Police Station. And the first one, the blue lines going along the motorways, he would have gone along that way, then through Basildon, then on to Rettendon that way. And like I say, the other one that I explained, where the grey marker is, and the grey lines, and it goes all the way around a different route. This is the A12, obviously, that I've just mentioned. So he could have come off at the junction here, and then he could have got to Rettendon and gone down this way. So he wouldn't have used the Rettendon Turnpike, as the turnpike is at the other end. So I'll just quickly show you a picture of the vehicle that David Rayner saw that evening. So this is a picture of a cherry red Ford Escort back in the mid-90s, and the car David Rayner was talking about in his statement. So did Steve Nipper Ellis get information from Damon Alvin about a meeting that would take place between him and the Essex boys, and passing on the information to his dad and an accomplice so they could get to that meeting place first, make sure the gate was shut so the Range Rover would come to a halt, and thus creating an ambush so they could be executed due to them, and in particular Tony Tucker, for threatening to chop off Sid Ellis's daughter's fingers. Is it possible Nipper Ellis helped his dad get rid of the Essex boys once and for all, doing recce's of the area of Rettendon after finding out the time and place the meeting would take place? Did he make sure he had an alibi on the night of the murders? So that's it for this particular video on the Steve Nipper Ellis revelations, and if his dad did actually shoot the Essex boys. In the next part, I am going to dissect the video he did on YouTube to see if he was telling the truth or not. You really don't want to miss that one, because it's going to be really good. YouTube subscribers, I hope you've enjoyed the video, and it shouldn't be long before the next video will be done. So until next time, take care.